Ladies and gentlemen, good people of Tunapuna who are hosting us here tonight, my political leader, Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley, distinguished representatives, I'm starting off of protocol by saying the next representatives for local government, the winning teams before us, the candidates who are working the ground, every last one of you, thank you. I have to go to Lady June, our matriarch of the People's National Movement, as we call her now. I have to go to a man that hasn't aged a day and has bottled the secret, the mighty Eddie Hart. I have to go to the warriors of the PNM, Camille Robinson Regis, Esmond Ford. I have to go to the warrior that is in the Senate, the lady they afraid, Renuka Sagram Singh Suklal. I have to single out the best Minister of Health in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, in my view, the Honorable Terence Dial Singh. The lady who makes education look easy. She's sweet. She's beautiful. Nian Gadsby Dolly, the doctor, the Honorable Marvin Gonzalez. What can I say? 250,000 people thank you and Ravi Nanga, chairman of WASA, for a job well done under pressure. Lisa Morris Julian, a lady of history and love. Keith Scotland, the man himself here from Port of Spain South. Ladies and gentlemen, this crowd has in its presence the warrior from Tobago West, my sister, Shamfa Kujo, who could tell you where they live, where they don't live, and how to do it right. This crowd is mesmerizing. It's flowing over with young people, ideas. The country is abuzz with an election. I'm here to talk about choice. You know, it's my style to take it down a little bit into the realm of thinking. So, ladies and gentlemen, join me for a short while on a journey. We're talking through the media tonight to Trinidad, to 14 regional corporations. We come and we say to the population, we, the People's National Movement, we are offering local government reform. Our opponents say no to reform, go back and have more consultation, and then they say somehow they're going to deliver a better performance with what exists right now. Then they say to you, Trinidad bad, flood everywhere, Wassa in trouble. They complain about people. They go to the microphone, they invent, as Camille has given us, a proper history tonight of the words coming out of Kamla Prasad Bises's mouth. They just say anything. But what they say has a common theme. The common theme is that Trinidad is not a real place. It is a bad country. Leave it so and talk more. On Monday of this week, chairman of the Siparia Borough Corporation sat next to a lady named Khadija Amin. Khadija Amin found herself down in Siparia to sit down next to a chairman of a corporation to read out a list of problems in Siparia. She followed a 10-point criticism plan that the UNC made of local government reform. And the 10-point plan that the PNM was called upon to answer by the UNC were as follows: that we are in trouble in this country because the local government reform, according to them, the laws that we have passed according to them, the laws that we want to turn on according to them, will take your property tax and it will do nothing for you. That's point number one. Point number two is they say the local government reform package, which has something called executive authority. What does that mean? The mayor is the boss. The mayor is like a prime minister. The mayor is like a chief secretary. The mayor has elected representatives who form a permanent council. Their only job is to be in that council. They give up their employment elsewhere. They say that that executive council, which will have the power to control and direct a CEO in the same way that Section 85 of the Constitution says a minister can direct a permanent secretary, they say that is a problem. The UNC then goes on to say that there are new responsibilities in the Act that they don't want. Don't put the council to repair schools. Don't put the council to look at play parks. Don't put the council to look at sport and culture. Don't put the council to have an audit committee. They say that's a waste of time. They then say that the Act has no development control. What does that mean? Folks, in this East-West corridor, we are accustomed to the issue of flooding. Development control means that when somebody breaches a river, builds inside of it, reduce the drain to 2 feet, going from 20 feet wide to 2 feet, and you wonder why the water can't pass. Development authority means that you have the power under the Municipal Corporation Act to knock on the door of the person and say, you, sir, show cause why you should not be made to pay for that and fix it now. And if you don't fix it, and you don't make sure your neighbor yard don't flood out, and the child don't get washed away, we will fix it for you, and we go charge you for it. They say that's a waste of time. They say infrastructure works, pothole everywhere, you can't fix it, the law ain't gonna help you. They say that there's no involvement of civil society. It's just the majority who win, running the corporation, and nobody has insight. They say that disaster management units are disorganized. That in the middle of a flood, you will have no assistance, you'll have no help, because everything just bad. And lastly, they say there are no regional development plans. So tonight, that's their 10 points as to why we should stop, do not turn on reform, leave it as it is, and according to them, all hail Kamla Persad-Bissessar, SC and MP, so SC, A, MP, all hail that lady and leave it just so. It didn't stop there. Monday, the chairman of the Siparia Corporation holds a press conference sitting right next to a lady named Khadija Amin, a lady who is incapable of smiling, of bringing a positive word in some instances, a lady that stood there and said everything that is bad in this country, and the chairman said a few things that I want to put on the record tonight. He said, the Siparia Corporation don't know if they are borough. The minister had to tell them there's a borough before they could be a borough because they want to be a borough so they could spend $2 million to change sign. He then said they have insufficient functioning elevators, faulty air conditioning in the market, they ain't get releases, and he say potential misuse, according to the report that I have, of taxpayer money for campaign purposes by Faris Al-Rawi and the PNM. Mark a X on that, because I'm coming back to that. He said, Siparia Corporation cannot function because they have big issues between the CEO, that's the executive, and the administration. He complained that the CEO unwilling to follow instructions. They can't get the job done. the CEO sabotaging the work. He says they have equipment and machinery issues, blocked drains and rivers, lack of response by the ministry, delays in vehicle repairs, insufficient tools and equipment, increased demands, hiring concerns. And then he says, importantly, there should be focus on transparent and proper conduct of business. There must be a prevention of the CEO from acting independently, and that we should halt all emergency works until after the election. So I told you the 10-point criticism. I tell you what this chairman and Khadija Amin had to say. Now let me connect the dots and answer. The local government reform bill is about transforming in a radical way the way we do business. And the way that we do business is to say, take money from the government that you get in the parliament, it's called an appropriation, you get it in the budget every year, supplement it with your residential property taxes, which will be $1 a day, $2 a day, $3 a day. If you have a mansion, $10 a day. And have control over your CEO, put in place an executive council that is full-time, bring the civil society into the audit committee, so when you're spending money, you have to talk in front of the people in an audit committee where the chairman of the audit committee is a member of the opposition. You hear what I'm telling you? We then say, take your municipal police, have your city, your borough, your municipal corporation with your municipal police, use your Evidence Act, CCTV evidence to capture people, to have the recording speak, as opposed to having something else where the witness has to go himself and say, that's the man. I see Eddie Hart. People are afraid. In this local government reform package, we say give power with transparency and accountability. Now, I told you mark a spot on the financing. For the record, I want to remind that in the budget this year and in the midterm supplementation, I went on record and I gave the percentage increase applied to every single one of the 14 corporations. Not San Fernando, not Tunapuna, not Arima, but including Siparia, Pinal-Debe, Princestown. We then went so far as to publish it, share it with the media, and every single corporation received increases. But for the record, I want to read it. Port of Spain received 129% more money. San Fernando, 234%. Arima, 129%. Point Fortin, 109%. Chaguanas, 105%. And I'll go 112%, 110%, 132%, 162%, 110%, 117%, 114%, 114%, 117%, 114%. And the number that you saw that stand out there was where we had tabulated back pay to be paid. So it wasn't as if money was going to go into corporations. As I can tell you now, as the Port of Spain City Corporation and as the San Fernando City Corporation and at Port of Spain right now, they are writing the back pay checks right now to make sure that the amalgamated union workers get their payments right now. The third tranche to be paid right now, they are saying only the PNM get more money. Let me put it on record. Pinal-Debe in 2021 got $9.3 million. Pinal-Debe under the PNM got $26.2 million this year. Siparia got $10.9 million in 2021. Siparia got $44 million this year. Now, we as a government, in promoting local government reform, we are saying not give the red corporation the power and don't give the yellow corporation the power. Nowhere in the law does it say the law only applies to the PNM. We say that it applies to every single corporation, even where we don't have one seat in the corporation. And in treating with that kind of transparent result, we are being told by the UNC, don't vote for that. They realize that they lost the war on property tax. Because people in flood zones now realize, if I want to get my flooding solved, I want to get my pavement fixed, I want my schools fixed. People in this country are not stupid, you know. We, the people of this country, know if you show me how you're using my dollar in a transparent way, I go pay for it. But Dr. Rowley didn't stop there. The Prime Minister of the country took a very difficult decision because he insisted it had to happen. And he proclaimed the Public Procurement Act. And therefore he said to all of Trinidad and Tobago, feel free to challenge any public procurement. Feel free to go to court if you want to. Feel free to get answers if you want to, and do it now. Does that sound like a government that is afraid of inspection? What else did Dr. Rowley say to us? Dr. Rowley said to us, in our local government reform package, I want you to make sure that the people are part of the process. And he insisted, and we complied, in continuing the work which began under Mrs. Manning and others. And we took forward 1.1 million contacts, decades of consultation, joint select committee, laws under transparency, and put all of that together in an act. But the UNC comes to tell us, actually, they come to admit to us that they really want the law changed. Because if you listen to what the CEO issue coming from the mouth of the chairman in Siparia says, he's really acknowledging that he wants the mayor to have control over the CEO. He's really acknowledging that the corporation should have the power to hire and discipline and treat with their own workers, which is what the law says. He is really saying, give us more money to do local work, but he's not telling you how. And Mrs. Prasad Bisesa does not tell you how. And Khadija Amin don't tell you how. They just tell you, forget property tax, it's evil. But as that argument fell flat, poof, the magic came out. Inheritance tax. Now, I want to say something. Who is that designed to affect? Why would Mrs. Prasad Bisesa tell such a bold-faced untruth? You know what it is? It's called fair. Because they know everybody in this country cherishes their property that they save for, they mortgage for, they pay off for, they want to leave for their child, so they want to lie and tell you 25% of that going to the government. And I can tell you, as a member of the cabinet, as the chairman of the Legislative Review Committee, that is absolute hogwash. It is untrue. It is designed to frighten people with a naked lie. But permit me to turn very quickly to the issue of crime and security in local government. This country is dealing with a situation of crime and security. These are the issues. I will say from the platform tonight, last week, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, elderly folks, they were held up at gunpoint They were relieved of their items right in their yard. But I want to tell you what happened after that. After that, a report was made to the police. Because CCTV evidence is admissible in a court of law, the cameras along the neighborhood that caught the license plates were able to be used to track vehicles. Because of the technology at TSTT and Digicel and the Telecoms Authority, phone tracing for stolen phone is possible. And the hardworking police at Four Roads said to me, they have solved many of these home invasion issues, but people are afraid to do the final step. And I would like to say to every person in this country who is afraid of taking the final step, which is to put people away by evidence, your government, and when I was Attorney General, we amended the Evidence Act so that CCTV evidence could speak for you and you could stay quiet. Your Minister of National Security, Fitzgerald Ethelbert Hines, and I've worked with many ministers of national security, I can tell you, he's one of the hardest working ministers of national security I have come across. And he is carrying the final leg of the race with the baton to turn on the CCTV cameras all over this country so that evidence could speak from a camera in a court of law, so we can tie that into the motor vehicle records, which we digitized, where we could trace vehicles and trace owners and know who they are, and we could tie it into criminality by going to a public registry, like the company's registry, where you have to declare the beneficial owners, so you know who really is handling the story or not. All of these pieces of the puzzle are right there to connect. And what the UNC is telling you to do, they recognize that in a 100-meter race that we are running, on many of these issues, local government reform, crime and security, we have run a brisk 99. But I want to stop you on the finish line and say, don't run the final 1 meter. Today you will see in the papers stories, allegations of criminality in CPEP. I can tell you from the initial reports coming back to me, the CPEP company hires 240 odd contractors. That company only does business with limited liability companies. You cannot subcontract a contract without breaching the contract. All of the company's records are public records in the company's registry. You could search the owner and name of any company. And by putting the laws that we did and putting the contracts that we did, we will have the evidence as to whether something is true or not. But they will never tell you that. You see, in following the money, which is what our government did, and for the 7 years that I was there assisting in a different way, it was the main target that I was on. Follow the money. Follow cash, follow business, follow land. And it is that same combination that exists in local government, in sport, in digital transformation. It's a brisk 99 meters we have run in 100 meter. So ladies and gentlemen, local government reform is real. It affects you, it affects me, it affects everybody. It touches on management, accountability, transparency. It touches on our lives, crime, security, policing, public health. They don't want that because they have said so. So what are you voting for when the UNC comes to tell you, come and vote? As I wrap up, I left San Fernando. I see Jerlene John. I see Nakid. I see about 4, 5, 6 MPs walking San Fernando, busy, up, down, up, down. I spot a fella in a yellow shirt. I say, boss, that's you? He say, boss, don't worry now. I get a little thing. I say, well, boy, take everything. Take it all. He said, don't sweat. He raised up his shirt. He have a red shirt underneath. A yellow shirt over. He said, well, listen now. We just only see them every 3 years or 5 years. So we take it all. So, Camille, it's not by mistake that they, under Kamla Persad-Bissessar, put a school on top of Rum Shop. The UNC headquarters in San Fernando was on top of Bar. The headquarters was on top of Rising Star. Don't be fooled. There's no logic. There's no rhythm. There's no rhyme. The choice is whether you want to continue with progress, you want to finish the 100 meters race, you want a prime minister who will unify CARICOM as a single fighting bloc, where our voices are put together as one stronger. If CARICOM is stronger, they have hope for the West Indies cricket team. God help us. But what I could tell you, put your mind and think about the issues. Are you for or against local government reform? If you ask them a question on facts, they can't give it to you. I heard an expression as I end now. I heard an expression to describe what the UNC must face on August 14th. Drama them. Drama them. Let them understand we want to give more jobs. We want local government to work. We want every young man who wants to work and young lady who wants to work to give a turn at procurement and management of services right where you live. We want jobs, we want water, we want schools, we want roads, and the only way to do that is with the PNM. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. And we shall and will prevail. Thank you.